Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are really digging into something we all hear about, but maybe don't fully grasp. Gratitude.
Right.
We tend to think of it as, just good manners, being polite, or maybe something you feel when things are, well, already perfect.
And that view, it really misses the mark, doesn't it? Our sources, and we've looked at a lot, from psychology to philosophy, they tell a different story. Gratitude isn't passive. It's described as an active, a living force.
A living force, I like that.
Yeah. And our mission today is to show you how this force, it doesn't just give you warm fuzzies, it can actually rewire your brain.
Yeah.
It helps shift you from feeling like there's never enough to recognizing abundance,
Yeah.
and it fuels, real joy and fulfillment.
So we want to move past just saying be thankful. We're going to get into the science, the actual practices you can use, and the mindset shifts needed to make appreciation, well, a real tool in your life every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're looking at material that covers neuroscience, daily rituals, even how it builds psychological resilience.
Yeah.
It's the whole picture.
From brain chemistry all the way up to how it affects our communities and health long term.
It really is a full spectrum look.
And just to set the stage for why this everyday intentional stuff matters, I have to share this quick story. It really proves the point about consistency.
Okay.
So a few years back, I was completely swamped with work. Schedule was insane, running purely on anxiety, and honestly, my patience was like zero. I felt indispensable, but also totally fried.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
That feeling is familiar.
So I get home one night, totally stressed, exhausted, and there's this little sticky note on the fridge. Bright yellow. My teenage son left it. It just said, "Dad, thanks for always making breakfast even when you're tired. It helps more than you know." Just 2 sentences.
Wow. That's huge,
A
actually.
tiny note, right. But
Yeah.
it just, boom, melted away a whole week of stress and feeling sorry for myself. It wasn't some big declaration. It was just noticing a small, consistent, kind of boring thing I did.
Specific acknowledgement.
Exactly. And it hit me how powerful that is, gratitude fitting into the ordinary moments. That's the kind of power we're trying to, unpack today.
That's a perfect lead-in. So let's dive into section 1. Let's really define what this living force is and look at the amazing biology behind it.
Okay, defining gratitude. The sources are really clear. It's way more than just saying thank you. It's described fundamentally as a lens.
Absolutely a lens.
Huh.
Or maybe think of it as a conscious shift in your vision. Imagine looking at life through a window that's all fogged up from stress, worries, the endless list of things to do.
Yeah, you can see shapes, but everything's dull, kind of fuzzy.
Right. Gratitude is like taking a cloth and consciously wiping that window clean, again and again.
The stuff outside, the traffic, the bills, it's still there, but suddenly you see it clearly. The colors pop.
That's the core of the shift. There's this great little anecdote in the material about being stuck in traffic on a rainy Tuesday. You know the feeling. Late, frustrated.
Oh, definitely. Red brake lights everywhere. Misery.
Exactly. But then, this person notices a little girl in the school bus ahead. Missing a tooth, cheek pressed against the glass, just waving like crazy at the cars behind, full of joy.
Ah.
And poof, the frustration just vanishes. The situation, traffic, rain, being late didn't change at all. But the internal feeling did. It was like receiving this tiny, unexpected gift.
It shows that gratitude isn't about not having problems. It's about choosing to see the good stuff woven into the tough times.
Precisely. And this choice, this noticing, it's not just wishful thinking. It has real biological roots. The science confirms that being intentionally grateful literally rewires your brain pathways.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating for me, the neuroscience part. We're talking neuroplasticity, right? The brain changing itself.
Exactly. Neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize based on experience. Think of gratitude as like an architect for your brain. Every time you consciously focus on something you appreciate, certain neurons fire together.
And neurons that fire together wire together.
That's the saying. It strengthens those connections. Over time, you build this default pathway that leans towards seeing blessings, towards sufficiency, instead of constantly scanning for threats or what's missing.
So our default evolutionary setting is kind of find the danger, the snake in the grass. Gratitude trains the brain to look for safety, connection, the good stuff instead.
You got it. And research pinpoints which brain areas are involved. Gratitude really lights up the prefrontal cortex.
That's the evolved part, right? Planning, meaning, controlling emotions.
Exactly. Higher order functions. When you practice gratitude, you're basically beefing up the part of your brain responsible for reasoned, intentional thought and emotional regulation.
But just as important is what it quiets down. We always hear about needing to manage that fear center, the amygdala.
And that's the other half of the magic. Gratitude demonstrably calms activity in the amygdala, that little almond-shaped bit that's always on high alert for danger, ready to trigger fight or flight.
Oh.
So when you're genuinely feeling thankful, you're turning up the volume on insight and meaning in the prefrontal cortex, and simultaneously turning down the panic button in the amygdala.
That makes so much sense why it feels so calming, so regulating. And this physical change, it's driven by chemicals, right? A whole symphony, you called it.
A beautiful chemical symphony indeed. There's a complex mix of neurotransmitters that get released, all reinforcing the positive behavior. First up is dopamine.
The reward molecule.
Often called the anticipatory joy molecule, it hits the brain's reward centers. Feeling grateful releases dopamine, which basically tells your brain, hey, that felt good and promoted stability, do it again. It reinforces the pathway.
So we're kind of hijacking our own reward system for our emotional well-being. Clever.
We're redirecting a fundamental biological loop, yeah. Then there's serotonin. Dopamine gives you that nice spike, but serotonin works more subtly in the background. It stabilizes your mood, fosters that sense of contentment, of peace.
Like a gentle mood balancer.
Exactly. It improves your overall resilience to negativity. Think of it as a subtle internal medicine.
Okay, dopamine for reward, serotonin for stability. What's the third key player?
Oxytocin, the famous love hormone or bonding hormone.
Ah, the social connector.
Right. Gratitude is often relational, even if you're just thankful for a sunset. Feeling thankful for something or someone outside yourself releases oxytocin. This promotes trust, social bonds, that crucial feeling of connection, and psychological safety.
So it makes us happier, calmer, and more connected to others. That's quite a package.
It's truly multifunctional. And when these microshifts become regular, the benefits ripple out into our long-term physical health, especially, as you might guess, with stress.
Right. Stress management. How does gratitude help there physically?
Think of it as a physiological emergency brake. Research, like from the HeartMath Institute, shows that feeling appreciation creates what's called a coherent heart rhythm.
Coherent heart rhythm, what does that mean?
It means the time between your heartbeats becomes more regular, more harmonious. Your heart sends these calm, orderly signals up to your brain instead of jagged, stressed ones.
Okay, and that orderly signal interrupts the stress response, that cortisol cascade we hear about.
Precisely. The cortisol cascade is that chain reaction kicked off by stress. Amygdala spots a threat, signals for stress hormones like cortisol to flood your system. If you're chronically stressed, that cascade is always on.
Leading to inflammation, weakened immunity, heart problems, all that nasty stuff.
Exactly. Gratitude, by creating that coherent heart rhythm, physically interrupts the sympathetic nervous system's overdrive. It slows down cortisol release, reduces those inflammation markers system-wide.
The material had a powerful example, the combat veteran.
Yes, a really striking case. This individual was dealing with severe hypervigilance, panic attacks after service. He learned to use gratitude as a direct intervention. When the anxiety started to surge, he'd consciously pause, breathe, and name 3 small, concrete things he appreciated right then.
Like what?
Could be anything. The feel of his dog leaning against him, the warmth from his coffee cup, seeing the sunrise. Simple, tangible things.
And it worked.
Over time, yes. His physiological stress markers improved, and he reported fewer, less intense panic episodes. Gratitude became this reliable tool he could use himself to find relief.
That's incredible. And it even helps when we're supposedly resting during sleep.
The UC Davis research on this is really compelling. They had participants keep gratitude journals, specifically listing things they were thankful for before bed. Consistently, those participants reported falling asleep faster, sleeping longer, and waking up feeling more refreshed compared to control groups.
Wow. Faster and longer and better quality.
Yes. And the detailed sleep studies, polysomnography, showed why. They had increases in slow-wave sleep.
Slow-wave sleep. That's the deep restorative kind, right?
Exactly. Deep sleep, stage 3 non-REM. It's absolutely critical for physical repair, boosting your immune system, and consolidating memories. But calming down the mind's pre-sleep chatter and stress signals, gratitude helps the brain slip more easily into that vital deep rest.
So journaling gratitude before bed is literally giving your body and brain a better chance to heal and recharge overnight.
It's a nightly gift you give yourself. And these benefits, they don't just last overnight. They add up over years, even decades.
You mean for long-term health, longevity?
Absolutely. Major longitudinal studies like the famous Harvard study of adult development, tracking people for almost 80 years. They link consistent appreciation and optimism with really significant outcomes. Lower risk of cardiovascular disease decades later, better overall physical health into old age. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Chronically lower cortisol, higher oxytocin. It creates an internal environment that's just less welcoming to chronic illness.
So gratitude isn't just a mental exercise, it's a long-term investment in your physical health.
It truly is. It acts like both a compass for navigating daily life and a shield protecting your long-term well-being.
What really strikes me, moving into the next part, is that the science shows we don't need some massive life change to start this. Just paying attention to small things can kick off this whole cascade of benefits.
And that biological basis, that feeling of enoughness, leads us straight into section 2. The huge mental shift that happens when gratitude takes hold. The sources really emphasize the difference between a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset.
Yeah, that word abundance often trips people up. They immediately think money, big house, fancy car.
Right, and it's so much bigger than just material stuff. Scarcity thinking is basically this underlying story that says there isn't enough to go around and you're constantly under threat because of it.
So you hoard, you compete, you're always kind of defensive.
Exactly. It's exhausting. Abundance, on the other hand, isn't about having everything. It's this quiet, internal knowing that there is sufficiency right here, right now. It's recognizing the resources, tangible and intangible, that you already possess.
So it's a way of measuring reality differently.
Perfectly put. And when you operate from that feeling of inner fullness, you feel more energized, more inclined to share, to collaborate, rather than acting out of desperation.
The story about the chef really brought this home for me. How abundance isn't about lobster, but about something else.
Yes. He runs this modest little neighborhood place, works crazy hours, probably doesn't make a fortune, but he just radiates contentment.
And when asked why, his answer wasn't about profits.
Not at all. He said something like, abundance for me isn't fancy ingredients. It's knowing I can make food that comforts people. Seeing them smile. Having my son washing dishes next to me, talking about school. His life felt overflowing with purpose and connection. That was his wealth.
His internal measure was completely different. He wasn't comparing himself to some external standard. That feeling of fullness, that's what fuels you, not the endless chase for more.
But getting there takes work. Conscious effort. Because, let's face it, we're kind of wired for the complaint loop.
Ah, yes, the negativity bias. The idea that complaints stick like Velcro, but gratitude slides off like Teflon makes evolutionary sense. I gotta spot the danger fast.
It does. But that bias means complaints repeat almost effortlessly in our heads. A small irritation happens, we instantly label it bad, unfair, and then our brain just plays it on repeat, digging that negative groove deeper.
So we have to actively pull ourselves out of that trench. How?
Cognitive reframing is key. Actively breaking the cycle. And the most direct tool we have for that is our language.
Shifting from victim language, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Right, to participant language.
Yeah.
Okay, what is this situation trying to show me? What can I learn here?
Even if you don't know the answer right away.
Exactly. Just asking the different question changes everything. It shifts the brain from defense mode into curiosity mode. It opens a door instead of slamming it shut.
I really connected with the author's story about their rainy wedding day. The immediate thought, disaster, ruined.
Totally stuck in the complaint loop. Default reaction. But because they'd practiced gratitude, they managed to pause and ask, essentially, okay, what else is happening here besides the rain?
And they started noticing other things.
Yeah, deliberately reframing. Seeing the laughter as guests huddled under umbrellas. Noticing how the dim light made the atmosphere feel softer, almost holy. The key takeaway. The rain didn't stop, but their experience of the day totally transformed.
That ability to find the hidden gifts, that's the abundance mindset in action, like finding unexpected time for a letter because the train was delayed, or family stories by candlelight during a power outage.
The annoyance itself becomes the raw material for something positive, something unexpected. It's alchemy.
Turning lead into gold.
And speaking of gold, this ties beautifully into the concept of healing, using the kintsugi principle.
Ah, the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. Mending the cracks so they become beautiful features.
Gratitude works just like that gold lacquer. It doesn't pretend the break, the hardship, the failure, the loss didn't happen. It doesn't try to hide the scars.
It highlights them.
Yeah.
Honors the journey.
Exactly. It acknowledges the adversity, but integrates it into the story, making the whole piece, the resilient person, stronger, more unique, and more beautiful because it was broken and repaired, not in spite of it. It turns suffering into a source of luminosity.
That reframing, seeing strength emerge from struggle, is just so vital for our long-term mental health, isn't it? Okay, so we've got the brain science, we've got the mindset shift from scarcity to abundance. Now, section 3. How do we actually do this? If we want gratitude to stick, we need to make space for it, right? Create the right conditions.
Absolutely. Gratitude is kind of a quiet guest. You can't force it or rush it. It needs a little room to show up. Think of your mind like a cluttered attic, always jammed with worries, to-do lists, mental junk.
Hard to notice a gift when you're juggling armfuls of mental boxes.
Precisely. So before gratitude can really land, we often need to consciously set some of that clutter down, even just for a moment.
I liked Sarah's ritual of release from the source material. Seems like a really practical way to create that space.
A great technique. She'd sit down each morning, take a piece of paper, left column, dump everything buzzing in her head, worries, tasks, annoyances, write it all down.
Get it out.
Get it out. Then, and this is key, literally fold the paper over, hiding that list, revealing the blank right-hand column. Then she'd meditate or just sit quietly. It's a physical, symbolic act of setting aside the noise to create room to receive something else, like peace or appreciation.
That folding action is powerful, containing the chaos. Okay, so that's a morning practice. But what about midday, when things get crazy and good intentions just evaporate? How do we stay anchored?
The doorway pause. Super simple, surprisingly effective.
Doorway pause.
Yeah. Every time you walk through a doorway, changing rooms, leaving the office, getting in the car, just pause for one single breath. On the inhale, consciously notice one small positive thing in that exact moment.
Could be anything.
Anything. The feeling of the chair you just stood up from, a pack of sunlight on the floor, the smell of coffee brewing. It takes maybe 3 seconds.
But it breaks the momentum of rushing, of the internal chatter, makes you present.
Exactly. It turns an automatic, unconscious transition into a tiny island of intentional awareness. Those little pauses, repeated through the day, create fertile ground for gratitude to just arise naturally.
Okay, so we create internal space. Now let's talk about expressing it outward, the ripple effect in relationships. Because a genuine thank you, it's like social superglue.
It really is fundamental to connection. When you offer sincere appreciation, you're meeting a core human need, the need to be seen and valued.
To feel like we matter, like our efforts are noticed.
Right. And when someone feels truly appreciated, barriers drop. Defensiveness melts away. It opens the door for trust, compassion, stronger bonds.
And we know from the science part, this releases oxytocin, right? That bonding hormone reinforces the connection chemically.
It does, which is why it's worth moving beyond the quick, automatic thanks. We need to learn, maybe, the anatomy of authentic appreciation.
Okay, this sounds like a really useful tool for listeners. What are the components, the 3 steps?
Right, 3 simple steps to make your thanks really land. 1, direct acknowledgement. Start clearly. Thank you.
Simple enough. Step 2.
Name the specific action. Be precise, not just thanks for your help, but thank you for staying late last night to revise that proposal, or thank you for listening when I was so stressed.
Okay, specific action. And step 3.
Reveal the effect it had on you. This is the crucial part. Revising the proposal relieves so much of my anxiety about the deadline, or talking with you really helped me calm down and see things clearly.
So the 3rd step explains the impact. It makes it personal. It shows why their action mattered to you.
Exactly. That's what closes the loop and makes the giver feel truly seen and understood. It's the difference between a transaction and a connection. Remember that story about the student who held on to the professor's specific compliment for years?
Yeah, wild in the best way, not just good job.
Right. That specific phrase affirmed something unique about them. It lingered like an ember because it was personal and insightful. That's the power of revealing the effect.
Okay, so these ripples of appreciation, we need to practice them in our daily labs, home and work.
Definitely. At home, modeling is huge, especially for kids, like Priya's bedtime ritual in the source material.
Where everyone shares something they appreciated about someone else that day.
Yeah. It teaches kids not just to say thanks, but to actively look for things to appreciate in others. And it teaches that listening, really listening, is also a gift worth naming. It makes appreciation the normal way the family talks.
And at work. Often feels like there's no time for soft stuff like gratitude.
But it's not soft stuff. It's fuel. Look at that tech startup example. They added just 5 minutes to their Monday stand-up meeting.
Just for people to acknowledge a colleague's good work from the previous week.
That's it, 5 minutes. And the result? A 30% drop in people quitting voluntarily. 30%.
Wow. Because people felt seen, valued as humans, not just job titles.
Precisely. Feeling appreciated is a powerful motivator and a reason to stay loyal. It's not a distraction. It's essential for a healthy, productive environment.
And we shouldn't forget the small interactions, even with strangers or acquaintances, those weak ties.
They matter immensely. Those little micro moments, the neighbor leaving notes during the pandemic, the friendly chat with the barista, thanking the bus driver, they weave this subtle fabric of trust and goodwill in our communities.
It creates a feeling that the world around us is generally supportive, not hostile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that cumulative effect of small, everyday kindnesses and acknowledgments has a profound impact on our overall sense of well-being and psychological safety. Don't underestimate the power of thanking a stranger.
Okay, this brings us to maybe the toughest part, but also the most profound. Section 4. Gratitude in the middle of a crisis. When life is genuinely hard, painful, how do you find gratitude then? Is it even appropriate?
It's not about pretending the pain isn't there. That's crucial. Adversity has this magnetic pull, right? It draws all your focus to what's broken, what's lost, what hurts.
Yeah, it consumes your attention.
Gratitude is the conscious counterforce. It's deliberately, sometimes effortfully, shifting some attention, not all of it, but some towards what remains, what strengths you still have, what support exists, what endures despite the difficulty.
Like Maya, the baker whose shop burned down, her focus shifted.
Exactly. Initially, just devastation, total loss. But then she started consciously focusing on the fragments. The firefighters showed up fast. Her family recipe book, irreplaceable, somehow survived. A friend offered a spare kitchen space across town.
So the gratitude didn't erase the loss, but it highlighted the resources for rebuilding.
Perfectly said. It shifted her focus from the totality of the destruction to the potential for recovery, however small it seemed at first.
And this often happens through what the sources call micro moments of grace, tiny things.
Yes. It's rarely a sudden, blinding insight in crisis. It's usually small, sensory comforts that break through the darkness. The surprising softness of a blanket in a stark hospital room. The simple taste of lukewarm tea when nothing else sounds good. Hearing a loved one's voice on the phone.
They don't cancel the pain, but they remind you life continues.
They're little pinpricks of light. Small, tangible proofs of continuity, of care, of simple goodness that can keep hope flickering when everything feels overwhelming.
Now, to navigate crisis effectively using gratitude, there's this crucial idea of acceptance, which is so easily confused with just giving up.
Huge distinction. It's the hinge point for finding peace. Resignation is passive defeat. It's awful. There's nothing I can do. I just have to suffer. It drains your energy.
Leads to feeling stuck.
Exactly. Acceptance, though, is active. It's a courageous choice. It says, okay, this painful thing is the reality right now. I'm going to stop wasting energy fighting what already is.
So you stop the internal war against reality.
Right. And that frees up enormous mental and emotional energy. Energy you can then use to cope, to adapt, to find solutions, to endure with courage and clarity.
It's actually an energy-saving strategy in a way. Stop battling the undeniable past or present.
Precisely. Like Matteo, the entrepreneur whose startup failed. He felt like he could breathe again. Oxygen came back. The moment he truly accepted it was gone. He wasn't happy, but the fight ended. Now he could look forward.
And this ability to accept and reframe, even in the face of profound loss, it builds incredible resilience. The story of Carlos the violinist is just amazing here.
It really is. A master violinist loses partial use of his crucial fretting hand in an accident. Devastated. His whole identity felt shattered.
The unfairness must have been overwhelming.
Totally. But the turning point wasn't about regaining function. It was seeing a nurse, someone skilled, accidentally drop a tray in the hospital. A simple human error.
And that triggered something.
A wave of gratitude, surprisingly. He suddenly realized, wait, we are all fragile instruments. Even the best of us stumble. It shifted his perspective entirely.
From why me to this is part of being human.
Exactly. It wasn't a personal failing or cosmic injustice anymore. It was a shared vulnerability. And that insight became the seed of his resilience.
He didn't just quit.
No. He started composing new music, not despite his limitations, but specifically for his new range of motion. He developed and taught adaptive playing techniques. His injury, reframed through gratitude and acceptance, actually expanded his purpose, his contribution to music.
Wow. That's kintsugi in real life. The break becoming the source of new beauty and strength.
It's a powerful illustration. Which brings us to the final, really crucial takeaway for everyone listening. How do we make this last? How do we sustain it and make it part of who we are?
It needs to become more than just an occasional activity, like a trait.
Exactly. Not just something you do, but part of how you are. It needs to become more automatic, more reflexive, like a marathon runner fueled by love for running, not just forcing themselves through misery.
And the best way to cultivate that isn't by preaching about it.
Not usually. It's through quiet, consistent modeling. People learn from watching us in our unguarded moments. Do we thank the cashier sincerely? Do we notice when someone holds the door? Do we express appreciation for everyday things, even when we're busy or stressed? That's the real teaching.
That consistency creates an identity, both for ourselves and in how others see us. It shapes the quality of our lives.
Absolutely. The measure isn't how far you go or what you achieve. It's about the depth of experience at each step along the way.
Okay, so wrapping up. For you, the listener, what's the core message here? We went from the brain science, calming the fear center, boosting positive chemicals, all the way to practical tools like that three-part thank you for strengthening relationships.
You essentially have the toolkit now. The understanding and the practices to approach life, not from that constant feeling of not enough, but from a place of recognizing the sufficiency, the abundance that's actually already woven into your days.
It's already here if we learn how to see it.
Right. So our final thought to leave you with, if you really commit to this practice, this conscious, consistent gratitude, what kind of legacy does that build? What story will your life tell?
Will it be a story of always chasing, always wanting, driven by scarcity?
Or will it be the story of someone who learned to savor life so deeply, noticing the gold in the cracks, that they naturally became a source of joy, fulfillment, and abundance for themselves and others?
A beacon.
A beacon. Go out there and start looking. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
To get more details about Thank You with Gratitude, the path to joy, fulfillment, and abundance, click the below link to get the book. Subscribe us to get more content like this.